So we heard about Kai and the launch of it, so I'm super proud of that. But I wanted to walk through a customer journey. Where do they start off with? So typically, a customer start off building an application on top of MongoDB. As data grows, they hit multiple pain points. It starts getting slow, especially on the analytical side. And at that point, they decide, okay, let me move my JSON data into a data warehouse solution. So they pick one of the familiar choices they have. And they also buy an ETL tool because now they have to buy do ETL from their Mongo databases into the data warehouse solution. But that's not it. The last step, which is the hardest one, is now they need to rewrite their application to fit the language style of the warehouse solution that they pick. Mostly they are SQL-based, so they have to rewrite their application to make it work on those SQL data warehouses. And they have to keep on managing these complex pipelines. We think this is hard, and this is not simple at all. And with with SingleStore Kai, we have introduced multiple capabilities that simplify this customer's journey. So to begin with, we introduce Zero-ETL that helps in a seamless and a simple data movement from your Mongo database into SingleStore DB Cloud with literally two commands that you will see. And finally, the application change. Now, we talked about that there is zero application code changes that we need to do. And I'll show that how exactly that will work because it's just a connection string change that you do and your application runs on the same JSON data with the same application code with SingleStore as a backend. So let's switch to this demo. Okay, so this is like SingleStore eStore. I'm taking a simple example, but something that most of our customers use. It's an e-commerce platform which is used to buy shoes. And this is currently running on a Mongo database. So we have a specific choice of database that we have used. This platform, as it stands right now, is used to interact as an e-commerce platform. You can order, you can order, you browse the catalog, you can order items, you can add ratings, you can check out. A typical example of an e-commerce platform. It also has a backend analytical system which helps the data managers to figure out what are the top trending products that you have, what are some of the highly rated products. It's processing roughly 2.7 million documents right now, roughly half a GB of data. And as you can see, as soon as I switch to this tab, the analytical query have been running. And they are taking its time because it's all powered by Mongo right now. And as you can see, this is the Mongo cluster that I'm currently using. It's actually, so the analytical query is still running, as you can see. And for this demo, I have used a Atlas cluster using an M40 cluster, which is a reasonably sized cluster. And we'll see how this experience can be improved going forward. So we'll switch to this tab. And not to everyone's surprise, the queries took more than a minute. So this is really slow when it comes to these backend operation. And we want to improve this experience with SingleStore Kai. So now let's go to this SingleStore portal, which we have. I'm using an S2 cluster for the purpose of this demo. And we'll start off by first moving the data. And this is the hard part that most of the customers hit. I'll use the Kai shell, which is basically a similar shell that most of the customers are using. And it's completely embedded inside the portal. So it's like one place you can develop your entire application. So the first step would be, how do I bring my data from my MongoDB cluster inside SingleStore? Now, with the Zero-ETL solution that we have provided, what we think is bringing data and managing ETL pipeline should be as simple as possible. So we start off by simply creating a link, which essentially connects your Mongo cluster with SingleStore. It's running a simple command which just establishes the link. And the moment you do that, there is a connection established between the two servers. Now, let's select which all collections I want to import. Now, for the purpose of this demo, I want to import the entire Kai database, which has roughly 7 collections. So with another command that we introduced, we'll set up a pipeline that brings in all the collections inside SingleStore. Basically, I'm just mapping the collection on Mongo to a table in SingleStore. So as soon as I start running this query, you'll see that the tables are now getting populated inside SingleStore. So give it a second. And we can see that all the collection have started flowing in. All the data is already flowing in inside SingleStore. There is nothing else you need to do. It's as simple as that. And very quickly, you can see that the entire data has been replicated. Thanks for that. So let's do a sanity check. Let's see if all the data have been replicated. So I'll just do a document count on SingleStore. Basically, you can run the same Mongo query as I said using the Kai shell. So I just look at the documents count here, and we can quickly validate it from the Atlas cluster, and the document would be available, and it's all in SingleStore. But this was for the historical data. What about the ongoing changes? Let's try that. I'll go ahead and make an order. It's an order that will simulate an order document, and it will increase my document count in my collection. So let's see what happens. So let's place an order. This essentially adds a document in my Mongo database. But the moment I check it on SingleStore, it's available. So without any other operation, the data is flowing from your MongoDB to SingleStore with the ease that you would imagine that SingleStore would always provide. So let's check that. So the documents count is always increasing. The more documents are in MongoDB, it will be seen in SingleStore as well. And it applies to all the documents that are, all the collections that are in MongoDB. So, but we have talked about data movement, which was the first part. What about the bigger problem, which is the application migration? So this application right now was running on Mongo. Let's go and change the connection string to SingleStore. So the similar connection string that we get, we just change the database name, point to the right database. So we'll validate that part. It's small t. We'll test that, and we just save the configuration. That's all. That's all you need to do as an application migration, because SingleStore Kai makes your application migration the easiest as it can be. Now the configuration is all set. Let's switch to the analytical tab and see what's the new performance of the queries when they start running on SingleStore. The query took almost a minute in Mongo. It takes a few seconds, that's it, 3 seconds from more than 60 seconds. The more you run this query, because we cache the query performance, goes better. And now it'll boil down to even 2.2 seconds. What about the other query that we had, which also took a minute in Mongo? Let's look at the second query. The first query run was 3.7 seconds. Let's look at the second run. It's in milliseconds. We can clearly see that this is almost a 120x improvement, which we claimed, and we proved it. So with this simple example, we show how simple and easy it is to augment your Mongo database with SingleStore for analytical needs and get the best of both worlds, both of Mongo and SingleStore. Over to you, Nadeem.
Thank you so much, Manish. You stay here. You're here again.
Sure.
So guys, you saw that. If you have a Mongo application, why don't you go give it a try? Go this afternoon, give it at least try and see how it works. Let us know.